And now it's time for your weekly Lawyers on Call. 12 News' Benjamin Hodel sat down with Schimmerling Injury Law for this week's segment. Take a look.
Now joining me in studio is Tom Schimmerling of Schimmerling Injury and Law. And today, with the wintry conditions these months, we will be discussing what to do if you slip and fall on ice. So, Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome. And yeah, so winter is here, and you often hear about people falling on snowy, icy sidewalks. What are the liability issues in situations like that?
Well, you do unfortunately see a lot of people, falling on snow and ice. I get a lot of calls. And basically, as a landowner, store owner, you're responsible for keeping your premises safe. And that means that, if there's snow, if there's ice, you got to get out there and take care of it. Or if someone falls, you may very well be responsible.
And are there any legal hurdles that people have in making a claim for injuries in situations like that?
Well, the insurance companies, they try to throw as many monkey wrenches into the situation as they can because they're, they try not to spend any money. But, one of the things that they always talk about or often talk about is what's called the storm in progress defense. And what that is, what that means is that if it's still snowing, let's say, and someone falls, they're not responsible unless it is stopped snowing and they've had a reasonable time to clean up the area.
And if someone does get injured from falling in the snowy ice, what do they really need to do?
Well, if you've been seriously injured, the last thing you think about doing is taking pictures, but if you can, or if you can have someone else do it, that's very, very helpful. It's always like a hurdle for me if there are no photographs, but, I don't expect people who have, suffered a bad compound fracture to say, oh, before you take me in the ambulance, let me take some pictures. But you can later on, if you can't do it yourself, ask a family member or so on to take pictures. Because, again, if, for example, that storm in progress defense, if there's already ice and then snow is falling on top of it, but they hadn't taken care of the ice, then they're still going to be responsible even though, it's still snowing at that point. So these things all have to be looked into.
Yeah. And can you kind of tell us more about how a lawyer can deal with these cases?
Well, you really have to do an investigation. And again, the first thing I always ask is, do you have the shoes that you're wearing? Because, insurance companies love to say, well, maybe the shoes weren't safe, And again, pictures, videotapes, that sort of thing. We get the official weather reports, to show what the conditions were like. Look at other accidents that might have taken place. And then, of course, getting into the whole medical part of it.
Absolutely. And so with all of that, is there anything else that someone can do?
Well, I often say that, you got to take medical advice. And, that really, whether it's a car accident, fall injury, whatever it is, they need to just make sure they're doing what the doctor says. If they're not showing up for medical appointments, for whatever reason, unless it's like a funeral, the insurance company figures that they're fine, So, of course, I wouldn't want someone to go to a medical appointment if they didn't need to. But if they're, still suffering, they need to, keep all their medical appointments.
All right. And, are there any other issues that are involved?
Well, they do, as I said, I mentioned footwear. I always tell clients to preserve whatever shoes they were wearing, make sure they don't get rid of the shoes. They'll want to know if the person injured was in a hurry, is that why they fell? They're in a hurry? Or they're carrying heavy things which, upset their balance. They'll try to use anything that they can to avoid liability.
All right, well, thank you so much, Tom, for joining me today. And you can watch Lawyers on Call only on Around the Tiers. For more information or to watch previous segments, go to WBNG.com, click on the Around the Tiers tab, then select Lawyers on Call from the drop-down menu.